It looks like the DC Universe is gearing up to give us its very own version of the Deadpool movies, and the latest news surrounding Jason Momoa's casting as Lobo makes that feel more real than ever. There's been a lot of buzz lately, and it's easy to see why. After all, we're talking about a character who's chaotic, violent, and hilarious, the kind of anti-hero that thrives in an R-rated setting. So, let's dive into everything we know about this potential Lobo movie and what it could mean for the DCU. Now that Jason Momoa has officially been cast as Lobo, it feels like we're on the verge of seeing a proper adult-oriented corner of the DC Universe. James Gunn has been building the DCU in a very deliberate way, and so far, it's off to a solid start. Personally, I've really enjoyed Creature Commandos, the TV mature animated series that kicked off this new chapter. It's not just fun, it also sets up a bunch of interesting corners of the DC Universe that can be explored in future films and shows. That kind of strategic world-building seems to be a recurring trend in DCU's Chapter 1, which makes me think they're really thinking long-term. Just like Creature Commandos, Gunn's upcoming Superman movie is expected to feature multiple DCU characters alongside David Cornswith's Clark Kent. And it's not just Superman. There's a pattern here across many of the announced or reported DCU projects. I really like this approach because it's focused on creating a lived-in universe. By including established heroes and villains early on, the films give a sense of history and depth to the world, which makes it feel less like a series of disconnected stories and more like a cohesive universe. And within that framework, Jason Momoa's casting as Lobo in Supergirl feels especially exciting because it introduces a major DCU canon character who seems destined for much bigger projects down the line. The idea of a Lobo movie has been floating around ever since Deadpool 2's director, David Leitch, expressed interest in making one. Once Momoa's involvement was confirmed, Leitch even commented on Instagram suggesting, "Let's do a Lobo feature." That's the kind of synergy that makes me think a standalone Lobo film could actually happen sooner rather than later. Given that Gunn has already said R-rated movies are planned for the DCU, this opens the door for Momoa's Lobo to have a solo outing that's just as violent, chaotic, and over-the-top as the character deserves. And considering Leitch's track record with action-heavy, edgy films like Deadpool 2, John Wick, and Bullet Train, he seems like a perfect fit to helm a movie about the main man. Keeping Jason Momoa around in the new DCU is smart, even if it means he's no longer Aquaman. It makes sense because recasting Arthur Curry while retaining Momoa would have felt odd, and Momoa stepping into Lobo gives the DCU a versatile, bankable star who can carry multiple projects over the years. Supergirl is just the starting point, and it's easy to imagine Momoa returning for other films, whether as a solo anti-hero or in ensemble projects. The actor's recent work, like The Fall Guy, also shows that he and David Leitch have a good working dynamic, which bodes well for any future Lobo projects. Momoa's career makes him a strong candidate to lead a Lobo movie, not just because of his talent, but because of his proven box office track record. Since 2016, he has become a household name, starting with Game of Thrones and moving into major franchises. With DC alone, his films have performed exceptionally well. Aquaman remains the highest-grossing DC film of all time, raking in over $1.13 billion worldwide, while other projects like Fast X, Batman vs. Superman, and Justice League also contributed significantly to his reputation as a bankable star. So it's clear that Momoa has the chops to make Lobo a commercial success while also embodying the chaotic, anti-hero energy the character requires. Even though Lobo isn't a central figure in the same way Superman or Batman are, the character's over-the-top personality, combined with Momoa's charisma and humor, can make him a breakout character. A solo movie could lean into the R-rated style that DC is exploring, similar to Deadpool and Peacemaker, which have both thrived in that space. Lobo's violent, funny, and larger-than-life nature makes him perfect for a film that's willing to push boundaries and embrace chaos. The timing seems perfect. Filming for Supergirl began in January 2025 and is set to wrap in May. Momoa recently revealed that he's completed all of his scenes, which suggests that while Lobo plays an important role, he won't be the main antagonist of the film. That actually works in favor of a future solo movie because it allows Lobo to make a strong impression without overshadowing the main story. Momoa himself hinted at the possibility of reprising the role, expressing excitement about Lobo and calling the character the most badass bounty hunter in the galaxy. He even described Lobo as loving motorcycles, cigars, fights, and chaos, all things that perfectly match the actor's personality and energy. Momoa shared videos on Instagram celebrating the completion of his scenes, and even though they were lighthearted, they perfectly captured Lobo's essence. In one clip, he rides a Minecraft-inspired bike through London, commenting on the experience with enthusiasm and humor. This kind of energy suggests that Momoa isn't just playing a character, he's fully embodying Lobo in a way that fans of the comics will appreciate. It also hints at a playful, chaotic tone that could carry over into a future R-rated solo film. One of the most iconic aspects of Lobo's look is his Bite Me Fanboy sleeveless jean jacket, which first appeared in Lobo's Back #1 in 1992. The jacket features a winged skull patch and silver studs, giving it a classic biker vibe that complements the rest of Lobo's rugged aesthetic. Momoa has expressed his love for the comics and seems committed to bringing a faithful adaptation to life, so incorporating elements like this jacket, even in a brief cameo or visual nod, could thrill fans and make the character feel authentic. Even if the jacket doesn't appear in Supergirl, Momoa's energy and screen presence are likely to carry the character. His wild, fun-loving persona is almost a natural fit for Lobo, making this one of the smartest casting decisions DC has made in years. The combination of Gunn's universe building, Momoa's performance, and the potential for R-rated storytelling gives DC the chance to create a franchise that's chaotic, entertaining, and distinctly adult in tone. A Lobo solo movie also makes sense because it allows the DCU to explore different tonal styles. While movies like Superman and Batman may lean toward traditional superhero storytelling, Lobo can exist in a more extreme, unpredictable space, similar to what Deadpool achieved in the MCU. That versatility is a huge asset, because it allows the DCU to cater to a wider audience and experiment with darker, more violent storytelling without altering the tone of the mainline films. With Momoa clearly invested in the role, the film has a built-in passion factor. He's not just an actor playing a part, he's a fan of the character himself. That enthusiasm translates to a more authentic performance, and it also means he's likely to advocate for the kind of high-energy, chaotic storytelling that Lobo deserves. Gunn and Leach could really capitalize on this, combining their respective strengths in world-building and action filmmaking to craft something special. In addition, Lobo's comic history gives filmmakers a lot to work with. He's an anti-hero with a moral code that's flexible, and his stories often involve larger-than-life adventures, chaotic fights, and absurd humor. This makes him a perfect candidate for a film that can balance action, comedy, and mayhem. And because Lobo has connections with multiple characters across the DC universe, future films could integrate him with Superman, Supergirl, or even Batman-related stories, giving DC a lot of creative flexibility. Although Lobo is only appearing briefly in Supergirl, his scenes are enough to leave a lasting impression. Momoa's portrayal will likely serve as a launching point for bigger projects, setting the stage for a potential standalone movie. With Gunn's vision for the DCU, an R-rated Lobo movie feels not just possible, but inevitable, especially given the actor's enthusiasm and the studio's interest in exploring adult-oriented storytelling. And that's that for today's video, folks. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.